Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome onto the YouTube side of things. I am I am Renee, your life coach and host, and you are tuned into the optimal you. What's the optimal you? Our aim, our goal, our desire is to get to a place of wellness of the mind, the body, and the spirit that we can effectively carry out our mandate given to us by the Lord. Jump on over to YouTube and chat with me as we look at the whole matter of social media, how it impacts our mental state. And today, on Thursdays, our focus is our mental wellness. Yes. And so we want to really look at that because, as I'd asked the question previously, how much time do you spend on social media? How much time do you spend on social media? One, two, is social media the very last thing that you look at before going to bed, before closing your eyes? And also, we want to ask the question, what if you leave your phone at home? Do you lose it? Do you get berserk if you leave your phone at home? What do you do? How do you treat with social media? Do you get sufficient rest? Do you think that you are a sociable person? We want to look at this clip today and listen, for those who are on the app, to this clip as it speaks to the impact of social media. Now, we know there are positive impacts, of course. As I said earlier, I use it to work. I use it as a life coach, I use it as an author, and I also use it as an entrepreneur. So we do use social media and it has its positives, but there are also the negatives, and sometimes we overlook, we don't really realize the negative that is taking place, right? And I want us to view it, and I want us to also talk about it. I want us to stop here and there and to talk about it. And let me tell you, it's not a Christian post. So let me tell you, they'll talk about partying and so on, but we know we are not doing the partying part of things. And this is a Christian having a party, and we're going. You understand what I'm saying? But we want to watch this clip, and we want to take the time to examine ourselves as we watch it to see if we are becoming mentally unwell because of social media. So let's jump on over.
iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
In 2007, Apple released the iPhone. It was the first all-in-one phone, iPad, and internet communicator. It was a game changer. By 2011, 35% of adults owned a smartphone. By 2021, it was 85%. Now, 35% of users check it more than 50 times a day. 98% of Gen Z own one, and it's $1 billion market winner. Fine, look, don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful device. I have one, but I keep it off because it has deadly side effects. That's why Silicon Valley CEOs banned their own children from using it. It's addictive. In my office, I see amazing young minds addicted to smartphones, to social media, likes, notifications, the pleasure. They get hungrier and hungrier, like they're never satisfied, eating eye candy, getting so interested in trivia, trying to get their self-esteem cups filled, trying to get acceptance, but feeling empty inside. That's addiction and dopamine overdose. Look, the smartphone and social media combination is such a winner because it's so addictive through dopamine pleasure. Images, catchy sounds, a ding to say that somebody wants my attention, somebody likes me. Images that are mind-blowing. They're really fantastic, but it's just too much, way too much of a good thing. It's addictive in the same way that drugs, gambling, and porn are addictive. Dopamine release in the brain's reward system. This really is selling addiction. Many of us are addicted, and you can tell when you start to complain about having less time, less friends, and being lonelier. Well, where did your time go? Where did your friends go? How did you get to be lonelier when the population's rising and we're more connected? We're being sold a lie here. Internet addiction eats up your time. Likes, news feeds, movies, hit series, and very interesting opinion pieces on current affairs. This all smashes your brain with information, image, entertainment overload. It's a recognized psychological disorder. So as a psychiatrist, here's what I think is going on. This all taps into deep human needs. The need to know, to be accepted, to explore and develop an identity, and even that core need to try to find out what life is all about. People think the answer to that question is actually on the internet. This is what leads to people sleeping with their phones rather than with somebody that they love. People waking up to check their news feeds and likes instead of saying good morning to a human being. It cuts off human connection. People even use toilet time to stay connected. They'd rather race home to surf the net rather than surfing the wave.
How many of us take our phones to the bathroom? How many of us, we go to the bathroom and we take our phones with us? How many of us? I want you to tell me on TikTok, and I want you to tell me in the chat here on YouTube, and I want you to tell me in WhatsApp. How many of us, when we go to the bathroom, we take our phones with us? Whether we're at work and it's not for safekeeping, we take our phones to the bathroom to scroll. How many of us do that? How many? I want you to talk to me now. This is a discussion we're having. How many of us? I read something the other day, and it said that when we take our phone to the bathroom, matter of fact, what should I call it? We're not supposed to sit in the bathroom on the toilet for any extended period. It's not wise. It's not healthy. It's not good for your, what Jamaicans call it, pile. I'm trying to get the correct name there. We're not supposed to sit on the toilet for so long because it affects the hemorrhoid. But when we take our phones into the bathroom, we sit there for an extended period, scrolling, responding on all the things. And we realize we've been sitting on the toilet for more than probably 30 minutes. If nobody's going to disturb us, we sit there for 30 minutes. When we're supposed to just get in there, do what we're doing, and get out. We're talking about, this is not only just mental, no, this is affecting our physical. Because your hemorrhoid is going to be impacted by you sitting on that toilet seat for an extended period. And this is a research that I actually listened to. So we're going to continue, but I want you to respond. How many of you, confess, man, confession is good for the soul. How many of us take our phones to the bathroom? Let us get back to business.
Or to play out in the streets. Or they'll diligently practice a video game rather than diligently pass college exams. I've seen it in my work. And it saddens me. It saddens me deeply. People live life through a 3x6-inch brick window. They don't experience life. This technology promised us a bigger world, but for some, it's delivered a world about as big as your bedroom. You don't have to leave. Many people don't. Second-hand lives, robbed of identity, life, and real friends. And this is all an addiction sold as a sexy must-have product. I'll quote some studies here. Young adults are more comfortable being online than at a party. That's not my opinion, that's from a study. Young people said that we actually like our smartphones more than we like people. Thanks to smartphones and dopamine, more young adults see less people, go out less, talk less, party less, and have less sex. Yeah, even a core drive like sex is being squashed. Studies show that people have less sex because they're watching screens more. Is that the sort of life we want for ourselves, for future generations? I don't think so. Okay, let's take a look inside the brain. Never before in the history of humankind have we been so absorbed by a tool with such a narrow focus. Our eyes, our ears, they're concentrated on a screen just a few inches away. So our brains adapt. We lose peripheral vision, peripheral hearing. The brain's thalamus shuts out the rest of the world so you don't notice other people even if they call you for dinner. You're not engaged with the real world. Many people share more intimacy with a smartphone than with another human being. Sorry, that's just not right. That's just not how we evolved. Thinking becomes convergent and concrete rather than divergent and creative. We lose imagination, and our brains adapt to predictable screen algorithms rather than spontaneous real people. But it gets worse. In very heavy users, hey, I'm talking addiction language.
You know that I'm going to have to say something here again. How many of us can relate to that which we just saw with the man and the woman, the couple sitting in the chair, the sofa at home, and they're both on their devices? How many of us, we are in the bedroom and we are on our devices? I want you to talk to me now. I want you to talk to me because this is very real. Social media is destroying our humanity, for want of a better word. It's destroying our humanity. So we're not so connected. Young adults, it's not just young adults that say they prefer to be at home on their phones. It's not just young adults. Adults, grown people, big people, as we would say in Jamaica. We choose, or our preference is to be alone. And this new thing about you're an introvert, you're not an extrovert, and all of these things. All of a sudden, being an introvert becomes a thing. So everybody, I'm an introvert. What? This is all a scheme and a part of the bigger picture where the enemy will get us to isolate. And once again, you know what I say about isolation. When he isolates us, then he can punch us where he wants to punch us. Let's keep listening.
Now, heavy users, the equivalent of drug addicts. The brain's empathy area, the anterior cingulate gyrus, shrinks. Now just think about that. A part of your brain shrinks in response to screen addiction. A part of the brain that we have spent tens of thousands of years evolving to help us get along with each other. In a single generation, it's being pruned back because it's just not being used enough. That's devolution, right in front of our MRIs. Less empathy, less ability to engage with people. Screens change our brain chemistry, which changes our feelings. Oxytocin, serotonin, beta-endorphin levels fall because we're spending less time together. We feel bad. Social phobia, anxiety and depression, suicide, they rise because we're spending less time together. We feel bad. To get over this nihilism and loneliness, guess what? We turn to addictions for relief. So, because of dopamine, you feel good for a short time, then you go back to feeling bad. That's addiction. Filling a void where friendship should be. More social media, more screens, less empathy, less people interactions, less friends, more loneliness, more depression, more suicide. The biggest rise in suicide is in 10 to 14-year-old females, up 300% in 5 years. 300%. Why? Because impersonal screen interactions suit female aggression. Males, give them face-to-face physical violence. Females, give them social media, screen anonymity. This suits their relational violence. They single somebody out, exclude them, start rumours, destroy character, destroy reputation. There's a long list of young females who have killed themselves. It's a tragedy. We're making enemies out of people who could be our friends. That's bizarre. It's all part of the brain damage thanks to screen addiction. One study shows that just having a smartphone close by decreases your ability to think and to pay attention. Well, what do you call that? What do you call mental illness? It's all a form of mild, reversible brain damage. Okay, so this information references over 100 separate studies, all pointing in one direction. Smartphones, social media, they're addictive and they contribute to mental illness. There's not a single study showing that the more that you're on social media, the better your mental health. I went to a child and youth mental health conference. It showed a sharp rise in mental illness since 2007. Why? Sure, divorce rates haven't helped, our risk and tolerant society doesn't help, drugs and alcohol continue to be problems, but none of them became suddenly worse in 2007. There are other possibilities. Maybe somebody spilt an anti-brain chemical in the water system, maybe there was an alien invasion we slept through, or maybe it's a virus with gain of function being transmitted through screens. Come on, look at the science. Or is this just going to be another inconvenient truth for us to ignore? So where's the hope? What can you do to change any of this? The hope is in you. You can wake up today and take charge. All that it takes is a decision, a sense of purpose, some practice, and some discipline. Here are some suggestions. Okay, firstly, if you're not convinced that you're addicted, try doing without your smartphone and without any social media for 30 days. Then when you get down, anxious, bored, and irritable, bingo, you know that you're addicted. After you're convinced, here are 8 ideas. Number 1, enjoy parties, have fun, do and say things that can't be documented, be spontaneous. Free yourself from the tyranny of all that you do and say now.
Let me ask again another question. So I'm still waiting on the responses for the others. But let me ask, when was the last time you did something that you enjoyed? A hobby. When was the last time you did something fun? Separate from probably watching a movie. But when was the last time you did something fun and laughed and just had a good time? When was the last time you did something like that? I want you to think about that while you continue to listen to this powerful clip.
Number 2, don't touch your smartphone for the first half hour of every day, then make it an hour, then no entertainment or social media until you've finished work or school, then shut down an hour before sleep. Number 3, have a technology-free day once a week. Your brain will actually look for something useful and pleasurable to do. Hiking, friends, you'd be surprised. Number 4, turn off for dinner conversation. Disconnect. Even if you argue over dinner, you're relating to flesh and blood, not silicon and plastic. People are unpredictable. That's how they're supposed to be, and they're a healthy challenge for your brain. Talking, laughing, just being with them releases beta endorphins. Number 5, exercise. Get into nature without the headphones. Look at the world, listen to it. This releases calm serotonin in your brain. Number 6, because screens don't love you back, only people can do that. Talk to someone, get to know them, share time, love, and fun with them. This releases oxytocin and trust in your brain. Number 7, people. Prioritize them. Being addicted to family and friends, I've never had to treat it. But all of a sudden, with a smartphone and social media, you've got less time. People or screens. They both give you dopamine, but choose where you get your dopamine from. Number 8, keep babies away from screens entirely for the first year of life. That's World Health Organization recommendations. So you're sitting there and you're thinking, how the hell am I going to do that? Well, to do any of this, you want to have a worthwhile purpose. Love, people, friendship, meaning, truth, usefulness, artistic expression. You choose. See, studies are telling us that young people are miserable at the moment. And some young adults are even trying to sue Instagram for stealing away their childhood. Good luck with that. Say no to marketing psychologists. Say no to having the latest phone. Say no to clicking where they want you to go. Don't listen to media mentors. The hope is with you. You can be boss in your own brain.
Let's take a minute to digest that. You can be the boss of your own brain. You know, Since we started the Optimal You last week, the point that keeps coming out is you have to choose. You have to decide. You have to want to do. So the truth is, it's really up to you. It's really up to you, my TikTokers. It's really up to you, those who are listening on the app. It's up to you, those who are listening on YouTube. It's up to you. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. And if you're going to get to a place of mental wellness as a Christian person, you have to take your life into your hand. We know that life has its challenges, We know. We can't pretend like life doesn't have its challenges. Of course it has challenges. But as a life coach, I can tell you, if you decide to take your life into your hand, we're not talking about the God-led part of things. No, let's not talk about that aspect. That's a given. But you take certain things, you have to take it into your hand and make the change. You want to see a change? You have to want it, desire it. You have to want this change. There is a saying that says, how badly do you want it? How badly do you want to be well in your mind? Go somewhere, man. Go out. Laugh a little bit. Talk a little bit. Enjoy your family. My daughter made a rule in our house years ago. She made this rule. She says, no cell phone at the table. No cell phones at the table. Now, my husband is a pastor. And sometimes people will call. No cell phones at the table. As a life coach and as a person that deals with people a lot, WhatsApp, text, WhatsApp messages, WhatsApp. No phones at the table. So once we sit to eat, no phones. When on a Sunday specifically, we sit together to have dinner because, people go to work, so you come in at different times, so you eat at different times during the week. But on a Sunday is when we sit together as a family to have our meals. No cellular device. If you notice, when you go out sometimes, you're on your phone. Like me, I'm always taking pictures of my food. But when I'm done taking that picture, my phone is down. That's it. My phone is down. But sometimes even while we're eating, we're on it. Ooh, we're texting, we're sending messages, we're on our phone. Yes, you say a little thing there and there, and you're back on your phone. We are addicted. At church, my app, the Bible app is on my phone. I tell my young people, I tell my Sunday school class, I said, ensure that you bring a hard copy Bible to Sunday school. I want to see you with a hard copy. Because one of the things is, you genuinely go on the phone to look at the Bible app, and then here comes a message on your phone. Not everybody is strong enough to resist the urge to tap on that to see what's going on. And sometimes it's distracting. Well, not sometimes, it has to be distracting. This cellular device, sometimes we're in our beds with our spouses, and the spouse is talking to you. Yes. And you're on your phone. Yeah, man, I heard you. Yeah, true. And sometimes the spouses even go as to ask you, are you hearing me? Or children sometimes wants to get our attention, and we're taken up with our cellular device. It's something to think about. It's something to really, really think about. And we say, are you addicted? And another person will say, no, I'm not addicted to my phone. No. Can you leave your phone for 5 minutes? Can you leave your phone for an hour? Can you leave your phone for 15 minutes? I don't want you to answer. Answer yourself. You can answer yourself. But we have to be careful that we lose sleep. We become mentally unwell because we spend too much time on social media. And even as Christians too, we are impacted by the likes. So if we post something and we don't get any likes, oh my, ooh. If you're not careful, we're depressed. Because in our mind, that picture is mwah, a wonderful shot. And people not liking it? Why is it that people nobody is following me? Why don't I have more followers? For business, you can understand, seriously. But personally, it's very serious. And what we need to understand that these things are deception. Listen, there is deception in the whole thing. Let me see. I want to show you a part of another video. Let me see if I can find that video for you. And it also speaks to the matter of social media. It also speaks to that.
You're dealing with an addicted generation.
This is a big time bomb ticking.
This is no accident. Indeed, it is by design.
I mean, seriously?
It was my mistake.
I mean, I think we can all feel it.
To try to make these products as addictive as
400%
possible.
spike in dopamine.
We now know that many of the major social media companies hire individuals called attention engineers who borrow principles from Las Vegas casino gambling, among other places, to try to make these products as addictive as possible. That is the desired use case of these products, is that you use it in an addictive fashion because that maximizes the profit that can be extracted from your attention and data.
It literally is a point now where I think we have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works. That is truly where we are.
The way the technologist Jaron Lanier puts it is that these companies offer you shiny treats in exchange for minutes of your attention and bytes of your personal data, which can then be packaged up and sold.
What happened is that the attention economy and this race for attention got more and more competitive. And the more competitive it got to get people's attention on, say, a news website, the more they need to add these design principles, these more manipulative design tactics, as ways of holding on to your attention.
You don't realize it, but you are being programmed.
Social media tools are designed to be addictive. The actual desired use case of these tools is that you fragment your attention as much as possible throughout your waking hours. That's how these tools are designed to use. Well, we have a growing amount of research which tells us that if you spend large portions of your day in a state of fragmented attention, so large portions of your day where you're constantly breaking up your attention, take a quick glance, do a just check, and just quickly look at Instagram, that this can permanently reduce your capacity for concentration. I am especially worried about this when we look at the younger generation coming up, which is the most saturated in this technology.
And it's very addictive because if you pull on the slot machine arm enough, you will win. And you never know which pull will reward you.
That's an addictive behavior, and it's dopamine that is driving that addiction. So what happens with social media is Robert Sapolsky, who did the foundational research on this at Stanford, calls it the magic of maybe. When you look at your phone and maybe there's a text there and maybe there's not, and you don't know, when it shows up, that high you get, that's dopamine. It's the magic of maybe. Maybe it'll be there, maybe it won't. When it shows up, you get a 400% spike in dopamine. That is roughly the same amount of dopamine as you're getting from cocaine. It's slightly less than an extremely addictive drug like cocaine. And that's what's happening.
We really care what other people think of us. So for example, when you upload a new photo, a new profile photo of yourself on Facebook, that's a moment where our mind is very vulnerable to knowing what other people think of my new profile photo. And so when we get new likes on our profile photo, Facebook, knowing this, could actually message me and say, oh, you have new likes on your profile photo. And it knows that we'll be vulnerable to that moment because we all really care about when we're tagged in a photo or when we have a new profile photo. And the thing is that they control the dial, the technology companies control the dial for when and how long your profile photo shows up on other people's news feeds. So they can orchestrate it so that other people more often end up liking your profile photo over a delayed period of time, for example, so that you end up having to more frequently come back and see what the new likes are.
And it's literally rewiring our brain. Even social media, the challenge is, with these terms like Facebook depression and everything, because
what's that?
This is social media depression, because whereas everyone's looking at their feed and they're comparing their lives to other people, their highlights of other people's lives.
Wow.
And there's actually less life satisfaction, more sadness, depression, and stuff like that.
And it's interesting because if you think about things that routinely produce a lot of dopamine, alcohol, for example, there's a drinking age, right? We have a drinking age. The alcohol releases a whole lot of dopamine. It makes you feel really, really good. We say, okay, you can have that, but you've got to wait. You've got to be 21 years old. We don't do that with social media. We're, essentially putting highly addictive drugs into the hands of kids before they have any natural defenses against them. And what you're seeing with internet addiction, with social media addiction, it's the same thing over and over. It's people trying to change their state of consciousness with a device, trying to get at the underlying neurochemical chemistry, and it's very, very addictive.
And so I would say the problem with the gadgets, and I mean, they're amazing things, is that they proximately interfere with medium to long-term goals, I would say. And so I think the first thing you have to do to bring them under control is figure out what it is that their use is interfering with. It has to be something important. So you think, well, I want to do something important. What is that? Oh, it could be personal. Maybe you want to have a relationship. You want to get married. You want to have kids. You want to have a career that's meaningful. You want to have a life. You want to have an Abrahamic adventure and be the father of nations, let's say. Well, you can't be ratting away on your cell phone and doing that. And so I think part of it is to set your sights high and make a plan and figure out who you could be and see if obsessive utilization of smartphone fits into that vision of nobility. And it will partly, because they're unbelievably powerful communication devices, but so often it's for lack of something better to do, and it also interferes.
And so we have come to the end of the YouTube segment of today. My mind is working. My mind is in overdrive. My mind is working. I want to leave something with you, a thought, and I want to know if you've experienced this. You're talking about somebody you haven't seen in a long time or heard from in a long time. You're talking about a music piece that you haven't heard. You're just talking about something or someone. And before the end of the day, you get a feed on your phone, on your WhatsApp, on your Facebook or wherever. You get a feed from that person. Or you see that song come up and you're like, I was talking about this today. And what does it make you do? You follow through on it. You go and listen to the song. You reach out to the person. Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me this morning on the YouTube segment of The Optimal You. We're going to jump on over back to studio where we will continue with our old hits. And we still focus on wellness of the mind today. Jump on over to our WhatsApp at 825-343-4486. And let's continue the conversation on the dangers, yes, of social media on our mental health. I'm your life coach, Renee, checking out. Bye. See you over in the studio.